Greetings, Vigor Warriors, back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. I want to do one more, I think, today. We did a few this morning and then one a few minutes ago. We're going to do one more so I can kind of catch up with my list a little bit here. And first of all, thank you for all the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. We're at 150, so we're moving up little by little. But that's really not the biggest thing. I want to try to get this information out as much as possible because of all the benefits and all the experiences I've had. And hopefully some of you younger guys and younger gals can actually take some of that and kind of run with it for future generations, because I do think that this is something that a lot of people need to be more aware of. And so I always see a lot of videos going up, and that's good to see. And the more people talk about it, the more people look at it. And really, guys, it doesn't really matter to me if you're going to follow celibacy, Sophism, brahmacharya, any of those type of things, retention, any way you look at that, the bottom line to me is saving your energy. Males must, especially males, females also, but males certainly need to save their energy. And I think that's what's really kind of destroying males right now in our society. I see a lot of younger males struggling with this whole idea, and they're losing themselves in this battle. And so they look older, they get older before their time, right? And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. But before we do that, subscribe, like, and comment. Continue doing that so I get helped on things that we're doing. But the issue on this one is going to be slowing the aging process. Now, I'm going to do two of these. I'll do one tomorrow too. The first one I'm going to do is kind of focusing on just the review of the ancient secrets, the Fountain of Youth. I don't know if you can read this or not, but that's what it is, Fountain of Youth, right? And it's probably backwards, but that's okay. It's going this way, yes. Fountain of Youth, I think it's this way. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. But we're going to kind of go over some of the ideas in this book and looking at the idea of the Fountain of Youth. Now, the interesting thing is that I followed this back in 1998, and I did it because I was falling apart. I was about 30-some years old, and I went to the doctor, and he said, "You're falling apart. You need to kind of take care of your knee problems. You got eczema problems in the skin. You had injuries from football. None of that stuff healed. And in the meantime, I was having children and a family, and I was just totally stressed out. And so this book really helped me a lot. It focused on looking at how you can try to stop the aging process. And I looked at that and say, okay, this is great. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the answers, the truth in many things I do. And whether it's one book or another, I know the same kind of truth is probably across the board. And so this book itself is really a great book. And there's a lot of testimonials in the book. It's by a man named Peter Kendler. And this one is forwarded by Bernie Siegel, who's a famous medical doctor as well. But the thing is that this kind of talks about that in the 1920s in colonial India, a British officer embarked on a journey, and he was trying to figure out how to look younger. And I think we always hear about these stories about the Fountain of Youth somewhere, in the East or somewhere away from the Western world. But in his case, he actually did go ahead, and according to the story here, he went to the hidden Shangri-La, which was a place that people knew of, that somehow people didn't grow old. And this was actually in there, run by the Tibet tribes, and they had 5 rites that they used that restore youthful health and vitality by looking at what they call the vortexes. And we're going to go into more of this as we go through this. But the idea was that this Colonel Bradford they talk about, he went back to the West, and he was talking to a man, but that it was his friend, and when he came back, even though he was 73 years old, he looked like a man of 45. And what he did was he kind of stopped the aging process, or slow it down to some level, where now you're doing these types of exercises that allow you to become a younger version of yourself. And I think a lot of it goes back into the vortexes. And when you look at the vortexes, you're kind of talking about, and I'll show you a picture of one, that you have 6 vortexes, right, in the body. And so you're talking about, 7, I'm sorry. There's one down here where this is number 1. You're talking about the one we talk about a lot, right? The retention, right? And that's one of your vortexes. Number 2 is kind of in the middle there, and it goes up. That's why, guys, we transmute information up. as we look at our energy, we're transmuting it up. And that's the reason why, because all the vortexes in there kind of go through, and they talk about the body's 7 energy vortexes. So guys, this is why we talk about energy and the brahmacharya and the celibacy and retention, all these things. It's kind of the same philosophy. Now, you may not believe in the vortexes. I personally do, because I've done these exercises now for, let's see, 1998, 23 years, and I've had nothing but success. I felt tremendous doing these exercises, and I think in the next video will kind of show you exactly what these exercises are, and I'll just show them in a book. I can't probably demonstrate them yet because I got to get to the computer to be able to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and try to show it to you, at least in the book. So the idea, guys, is to be able to kind of get these vortexes to rotate and continually move. So as you do that, you're actually getting things to move ahead, and so they spin. And if they're spinning, then they continue to spin, and that's how you stay younger and younger. And so the problem is, as people get older, they spin slower and slower. And it's because of lack of exercise. I remember watching a movie with my kids called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And there's a great scene in there where the parents, I believe Willy Wonka's or Willy's parents, are sitting there in a bed, and they haven't gotten out of bed for 9-10 years, and they can't anymore because of the apathy, not apathy, but also their bones, and they can't move. And so what happens is, atrophy, when they atrophy, and they can't move. And so basically they're stuck in bed and they can't get out because they haven't used their muscles in a long time. And I think that's kind of the issue when people get older. We always look at trying to say, okay, you gotta settle down, slow down. I think that's the wrong idea. I see people at the YMCA and different places I'm at, 85, 90 years old, working as hard as they used to when they were 20. And guys, that's the habit you get into when you're younger. Because I believe that what ends up happening is that these vortexes do slow down. And however you want to call it, whether it's aging or things like that, as they slow down, you're looking, older and older and older. And instead of trying to keep these going by doing simple exercises like yoga and meditation, things like that, you tend to go ahead and just not do anything, and you feel like, well, this is part of the aging process, I have to put up with it. Well, I don't believe that's the case. I believe you can live a long time. As long as there's no unforeseen accidents, things that happen to you, you can live for a long time. And I think this is the kind of way to do it. So since I've been doing these things for 23 years, I've just had amazing success. Haven't had any kind of knee problems. The eczema has gone away for the most part. Once in a while it comes back, but it's wonderful. Like I said, my hairs had no issue at all. Shoulder injury, I had a pinched nerve. I don't feel that any longer. I can still work out and do the things that I've done, and it just seems like I'm getting stronger and stronger. Now, retention is number 6. Now, there's 5 rights here. Number 6 is retention. So we're going to save those for another video, but I wanted to kind of go back and kind of bring your attention to this book because I think it's a great book, and I'll put the link on the bottom as well. And once again, this person, he ended up coming back to the States, and him and his friend were talking at the beginning, and he was trying to go out and look for the Fountain of Youth. And he came back to the Western world, and he actually, talked to the tribes. Now, I think it's a shame that a lot of those, priests are long gone, and unfortunately, they all got killed in the revolution in the early 50s. But the thing is that they had a great thing for humanity and the world kind, for the energy and the vortexes. All those things are still very relevant, and this is why I talk about energy being really important. I don't focus so much on the actual things that come out of you. I'm talking more about the energy that comes out of you. That, to me, that's the key type of thing, and this is kind of why I do that, because I go back to the vortexes, and after a long period of time, I really believe that this is very true. And I think this is something to kind of look into if you're trying to kind of youth an age, not get younger, not getting older. And guys, you can do this at any age you want. I mean, obviously you're not going to see the same benefits unless you were in bad shape, going to good shape, right? Like I was when I was in my middle 30s. and I started. I really got, I stayed about the same I was when I started the process, and I think that's what ends up happening. Once you start doing these exercises, and once you start looking at getting younger, you tend to kind of stay where you're at. And so I look about the same as I did. Gray hairs a little bit here and there, and the beard I didn't have, so this is all new as well. So the beard is different, and that's probably hair that's come in. But I think what's happened is that you end up growing hair, but I think you end up with the vortexes because they're spinning so easily, and it doesn't take a long time to do this stuff. Then you end up going ahead and staying younger and fit. And the other thing, guys, is with a lot of these exercises, because they work the number 3 and 4 vortex in the middle, you're basically doing, and actually 1 and 2 as well, you're doing a lot for your back and your stomach. And then those are crucial. I think that core, as a lot of people do core exercises, that's also crucial. One of the other things I end up doing is I got a big ball, and I end up laying back in the ball every day and kind of sitting there for a long time, and that makes my back feel great. Now, once again, when you're my age, you tend to say, okay, I'm not going to do this stuff because I'm afraid of getting hurt. I think that's a fear and operating in the wrong direction. That in my book, that kind of battle is being scared of losing, and so you end up not doing things because you'd be scared of losing. So I think you have to go out there and kind of risk it all in these type of things and do as much hard work as you can, no matter how old you are. I think God's given you muscles for a reason, and you're not supposed to let those go atrophy, and like you did in that Willy Wonka movie where people just stood there and didn't move for months in bed, and they couldn't get out of bed because of that. You never want to get to that point. So you always want to work your muscles and do that. Now, so this Fountain of Youth is great, and as I said, he came back and he looked like he was 45, and he was 73. His friend never recognized him because he had looked so old and kind of beaten and those type of things. The other thing does it gives you a lot of motivation. This type of stuff gives you a lot of motivation. You can live a long time and do a lot of great things, and I think that's the key to it. And I think that if you look at things that people lived over 100 years old, you can see that even though they may not recognize they're doing this, they're doing a lot of these type of things too. So once again, so that was a quick book review on the book, The Ancient Secrets of the Fountain of Youth by Peter Kendler, and a foreword by Bernie S. Siegel. So I will put down the actual reference here. I think you can get it on Amazon. I will do a second video on this when we focus on the exercises and the 6th rite. The 6th rite is the one that deals with abstaining from sexual behaviors and those type of things. Once again, retention. He talks about being superhuman when you do that. All right, so until next time, guys, battle on.